Welcome to the Economic Archer podcast. Please like and subscribe to the channel. That'll make sure you know about the next edition of the podcast. Folks, today is a very, very important topic again. The title is, what rights are you willing to take a stand for? Because freedom isn't free. When the Declaration of Independence was signed, it basically included three major ideas. The first idea is that we had certain unalienable rights, inalienable rights. Those are given to us by God, not by some government. The second was that all men are created equal. The third was that individuals have a civic duty to take a stand for these rights and for themselves and others. If we go back to the Obama administration, Rahm Emanuel was his chief of staff, and he made a comment. He said, "You never let a serious crisis go to waste." He went on to say, and what I mean by that is that a crisis is an opportunity to do things that you could not do before. In other words, we the American people wouldn't have voted for it, but they take advantage of a crisis in order to implement things that we would have never agreed to. We can argue whether or not some of these crises are man-made, and I think there's plenty of facts to support some of those concerns that we have. But just for now, let's keep in mind, they've stated they don't like to let a crisis go to waste. So let's go to 2008, not too long ago. We had a banking crisis. They came and asked us for $787 billion of taxpayer money to pay to bail out these too big to fail banks. Remember what I said, when they have huge profits, they don't share their profits with us. But when they have debt because they've given out loans they shouldn't have given out, etc., who foots the bill? We do. Well, they tried three things back in the Obama administration to get their hands on your 401k money and IRAs. They tried the IRA Act of 2010. That was introduced by Democrat Senators Jeff Bigeman and John Kerry. That bill ultimately died, but wait, it resurfaced in 2011, and they tried again, and it was shot down. But they didn't stop trying. Again in 2012, February 16th of 2012, the Automatic IRA Act of 2012 was introduced to the House by Representative Richard Neal. And again, it died in committee. Well, you may be saying, well, thank goodness we got past that. We're not past it. Here's an article, February 18th, 2022. Why your 401k is central to Biden's climate change agenda. And they go on, they talk about it, that they want to take control of the funds in your 401k and IRAs, and they want to be able to direct those funds to their green energy things. Well, if we think back of companies like, I believe the name was Solyndra, that we took a ton of taxpayer dollars to fund, the company immediately went under. I don't know what they did with all the money that we gave them, and I can guarantee you if we traced it back, there were some nefarious things that went on. But that's what they're trying to get hold of your money to do. Here's another article. This one's October 14th, 2021. Biden ties ESG retirement investing to government climate action. Again, they're trying to get hold of your 401k and your IRA in order to fulfill their agenda. Here's another one. July 1st, 2021. BlackRock, State Street defend ESG policy after Republicans slam. Listen to this. Republican pushback this week against BlackRock Inc. and State Street Global Investors is just the latest from the GOP against the rise of ESG trading in retirement portfolios and the role big money managers play in exercising your shareholder rights. You have a right to vote on what your money's invested in your 401k. They're trying to take away those rights. Here's the bottom line. There's more than $30 trillion in 401k plans. The government has run our country into over $100 trillion of debt when you consider unfunded liabilities. Instead of them tightening their belt, cutting their salaries, cutting all the pay that they get and benefits they get, which you ought to go and investigate all that we give those people. It's ridiculous what we're giving them. They're not even serving us anymore. But the bottom line is they want control of your 401ks. But my message today is a lot bigger than, are you going to fight for your 401k? In the United States, we the people are in charge unless we forfeit those rights. And our rights are being infringed on at every turn. Freedom of speech. If we say what they don't agree with, they seek to shut us down, and they are shutting us down on a lot of fronts. Freedom of religion. If we say what we believe in, we're ostracized or silenced. Yet they can go and talk about some of the most extreme things you can imagine. Some just utterly wicked things that they talk about. The right to bear arms. Never let a crisis go to waste. They're trying to get our arms now. Now think about it. These same people who want to see you and I disarmed, they have armed people guarding them. They have armed people guarding the Congress. Why would they want us not to be armed? What was the Second Amendment? What was the purpose of it? It wasn't just to protect yourself in your home, although that alone would be something worth fighting for. It was also that we could protect ourselves against an obtrusive, invasive government, which we currently have. Not that we're going to go and shoot people, but we're going to stand up and say, no, you're not taking our God-given rights. Think about what happened in Australia. Australia made a big deal, and I remember seeing pictures of just piles of firearms. They gave up their firearms, and they were woke. You know, if we get rid of our firearms, we're a woke society. Did anybody see what happened to them recently, where we all went through this pandemic, but they were basically on house arrest? They were locked up in their homes. Their businesses were shut down. They weren't allowed to reopen for long, long periods of time. They were crushed, but they had no way to push back. They'd given up their rights to defend themselves. They were gone. Ours will be gone too if we sit back and do nothing. I would encourage you, stop waiting for someone else to do something. You start doing what you can do. Think about critical race theory. Some concerned parents went into school boards and they got loud. They spoke up. And what happened? In many instances, they put down that teaching. We've got all kinds of teaching being pushed down the throats of our kids when they're in the formative years, and they haven't had a chance to develop their basis of what do I believe in. They're being brainwashed into believing things that we don't stand for. But if we sit back and do nothing, that will be, it's almost like we're sending the message to our kid. If we send them to a school where they're teaching things we don't believe in, what do you think is in the mind of our kids? They're sitting there going, well, my parents are sending me here. This must be viable stuff that I'm learning. Folks, you can't sit back and do nothing. The same thing I was talking to you about when I was saying, we've got a banking crisis and a currency crisis right now. There's things you can do to protect yourself. You can buy things like silver and pull away from their fiat currency and soon to be central bank digital currency, where they're going to know everything you spend, how much you buy of it, where you buy it. I watched a presentation the other day, and it was by Bill Gates talking about technology that they have where they've identified genes in people that they consider to be religious zealots. And they say that they can shut down that expression and basically silence those people. If you're waiting for a call to action, I'm making a call to action. You sit down and you keep expecting other people to do things, but I think what we're being called to do is stand up as individuals and say, no more. We, the people, run this country. And if you keep trying to do things like take away our rights, take control of our bank accounts, take control of our 401ks, teach our kids things that we don't like, we'll run your tails out of office. It's time that we speak up. It's time that we stand up. Do what you can do. Quit waiting on others. Thank you for your time today. Make a difference. Thank you.